Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This is Old School Johnny here. This is week 2 of quarantine, and I just wanted to post a video to let everybody know what it is that I'm going to be doing for this upcoming week. Um, First off, I just wanted to say I want to give out a nice shout out to everybody who is a first responder who are on the front lines of of this horrible virus. I've This is something I've never seen before. So I just wanted to give out a shout out, and I also wanted to point out to everybody just to make sure that if your state has issued a stay at home edict for everybody, it's important that you do follow this because the only way that life does return back to normal is if everybody's following the directions in which our law officials have put it out for us and medical officials have pointed out. So like if you don't need to leave your house, please don't unless you are one of, again, the first responders. And I also wanted to give out a special shout out to all the people who are at the grocery stores, people in the warehouses, delivery drivers, people that are been able through this whole crisis be able to provide us with the essential things that we need to do to obviously survive. So, like I said, we are here the second week of quarantine, and right now things have gone for me. I mean, they're still being relatively busy. I have a couple things coming planned, but before I speak to that, I kind of wanted to add a good news that was said yesterday. Patty Jenkins and the rest of the team who worked on the Wonder Woman 1984 film, the sequel to the previous Wonder Woman film, have now pushed the release date of Wonder Woman now to August 14th instead of releasing it on June. That's huge news. A lot of studios were getting nervous and they were putting a lot of their features, either pushing them back indefinitely or they were releasing films on digital a lot earlier than they normally would have been. But Patty Jenkins understands that this is a film that needs to be seen in the movie theaters. It is highly important that it's seen in the movie theaters. This is something that's really made my day. It was really good news because I think it's very important that we do not lose that sense, lose the ability to understand that the magic of the movies, that power of cinema, happens when we actually go to the cinema and movie theaters. A lot of these films, when they're filmed, they are meant to be seen in the movie theater. Um, you cannot simulate that experience. From my take, you just cannot, simulate that experience of listening to the sound, the picture quality, and all that. Specifically with the films, these big blockbuster films, and those are films in which I really enjoy watching. Not to say that I don't like to watch other films, but I've always enjoyed the blockbuster films where you have a decent plot, you have a decent amount of action, and you have very complex, endearing characters to root for. In Wonder Woman, the first Wonder Woman, I really enjoyed, and that really provided that type of environment. So I'm very, very glad to hear that they had pushed it back to August. That's going to, first of all, it's going to be a very good that we're still going to get a substantial, big blockbuster film this summer, specifically with Black Widow being kind of scrapped. It's going to be nice that this summer, it might be towards the end of the summer, but we're still going to get a substantial blockbuster for the summer for everybody to, finally get back into that going to the movie gig. And secondly, the reason why I thought it was really important because the movie theaters are going to have a hard time when things open back up. They're going to have a hard time adjusting because there's not going to be a lot of films for people to go see once they open back up. So it's going to be very hard for them, when things open back up to kind of generate money because a lot of these pictures are being pushed back and pushed back. So again, really huge news. If you're not a comic book fan, okay. I mean, like I said, I thought Wonder Woman was really decent, the first one. Patty Jenkins did a good job. I think it's going to be definitely probably it was going to be one of the better films, I think, of the summer. So it was definitely, reassuring, and I'm still excited to see, what this sequel entails, especially with the title 1984. It's going to be very interesting kind of how they set the world up. So I'm still really excited. I think it's really good news again, and it's exciting news. So what's up on my end? So this past weekend, I hosted my first Netflix party. Big shout out to my friend Julia, who we watched Batman Begins. So it was a really cool experience because with Netflix party, you're able to watch a film together with your friends. You might be, again, from a different state, you might be in the same city, but in a different household, and you're able to chat. So we were able to have sort of a in discussion about the film. I mean, I've seen the film before, and she had not, but I was able to say like what was going on. Like when you're in a movie theater, when people say, "Hey, what is that about?" You kind of like say, "Uh-oh," shh, from the audience saying, "Hey, quiet, you're interrupting." So it's kind of cool that you could kind of like type that in, and you're able to kind of like have that dialogue with somebody. I'm certainly going to be hosting more Netflix parties. And the Netflix party thing is easy to add. It's just basically a Google Chrome extension. You just add it, and what happens is I just send you a link before the movie, and you just click on that link, and we're again able to join, and people could stop and start the movie. Say if someone has to go to the bathroom, you could stop it. So I found a similar extension on Google that's called MetaStream. And with MetaStream, you could do the same thing. And this doesn't have to be Netflix. It could be Amazon Prime, like Prime Video, or it could be other things. So this weekend, I wanted to try something really, really different. For these last couple months, I've been focusing on films that have been out in the theater or kind of like more modern films. I think it'd be kind of important because this is old school Johnny, and old school Johnny kind of wants to pay homage to films of the past as well as films as the future. A lot of films, today that are made borrow from things that have been made in the past, whether they be good things, bad things. Like when I mean bad things, I mean by like mistakes that they have made. That's how the movie industry is kind of like transformed over years. So this weekend, I kind of want to pay homage to a person that's very iconic in Hollywood, and that is the Duke, John Wayne. Now, I have had the privilege as a younger kid to see a few of John Wayne's films, but I haven't been able to watch a whole lot of them. I know that he basically starred in mostly westerns, but he did star in the occasional, military movies, as well as I think he's actually in the movie The Greatest Story Ever Told, a Hollywood movie. He's actually in there at the end. But I thought it would be a good time for me to kind of, with my audience and all, if we could kind of delve into an actor who is larger kind of than life. If you think of the Western and that kind of like cowboy genre, John Wayne probably comes to mind on people's list, as well as Clint Eastwood. So I thought this would be a perfect opportunity for me and my audience to kind of delve into his movies and to kind of figure out what made him so special, what made him kind of larger than life. Although he was a very large, tall man in real life, but what made him like larger than life as an actor? So I think it'd be a good opportunity for us this weekend to kind of delve into some of his movies, watch them. And I always want to caution people, when you do watch older movies, you always do have to take into context of what period it's made, and sometimes movies don't age well, but looking up in a lot of these rating systems, I've seen that John Wayne films have really got a favorable rating even today. So I think it's going to be, again, very interesting to see. I'm going to post out a flyer on all my social media pages about, the Netflix party. I think we're going to begin it on Friday or Saturday. I'm going to do it. There's, like I said, there's a couple of good John Wayne films on Netflix, as well Prime Video. So it's just important for people to, again, just hit those extensions on their browsers, on the Chrome browser, and again, I'll just send you the link and we watch the film. I think after these films, what I'm going to do is actually host maybe an Instagram video where we do let's review some of these movies, because I'll be honest with you, I've only had the privilege of seeing only a few John Wayne films, so it'd be really cool for us to do a sort of like a review. Although I don't like to be like critical of films, but kind of like see if it still holds its luster after all these years. So that's what I'm going to be doing this weekend. But in addition to that, I kind of want to say what else is in the works for me. I'm hoping to do an interview of myself, me, Old School Johnny, in a couple weeks, hopefully. But I'm also, my next probably watch party is basically we're going to dive into some biblical epics. Specifically with Easter and Holy Week coming up, it'll be a good time for us to kind of like delve into some biblical epics and those kind of films, especially some classic ones that were very important as it goes to filmmaking in the next couple of weeks. So that's kind of like my plans. I want to again make a shout out to make sure that, please, if you don't have to be out of your house, please just stay home and be safe. Like I said, the sooner we heed everybody's advice and do what we're supposed to, the quicker things will go back to normal. And then again, shout out to everybody, grocery store workers, delivery drivers, people who are getting us all of our essential stuff. We couldn't, survive without you. And most importantly, with doctors, nurses, nursing assistants, paramedics, everybody who works in the medical field who are basically putting their health at risk to make sure that we stay healthy. It's important that we remember all of them. So want everybody to have a good evening. Like I said, stay safe. And make sure you join me this weekend if you want to learn a little bit more about the Duke. Thank you.